Hello Wolfpack, Bitcoin update today, and a pretty interesting time for Bitcoin, mainly because of the fact that we're coming up on a pretty major resistance zone. Our first real major one, other than this rectangle that we can actually turn green now because that's support. That's the major rectangle between around 40k and around 43k. That's support now, which is great to see. But I suppose the reason why there are concerns still, well, there's many reasons why there are concerns still. For those of you who don't know, I'm only going to be bullish on this move if we manage to get above 47.2k via a weekly candle close, okay? And the reason being is because, let's jump over to the weekly chart right now. The weekly chart is showing us, let me just find the right one, sorry guys. The weekly chart is showing us that, well, this has happened before in the same fashion as it happened in 2018. And I'll bring this up right now, and you can see in 2018 we did a very similar thing where we dropped below the 50-week SMA, we went down 25% for 4 weeks, found a short-term bottom, jumped back up 46% in 5 weeks, rejected off the 50-week and went down to the 200. We are in the process of doing basically the exact same move relative to time and relative to percent, right? Slight differences in percentages, but the time frame is exactly the same. If we get to the 50-week SMA within the next 4 days, that would be exactly the same as what happened in 2018. And so I don't see a reason to be bullish unless we actually close a weekly candle above that, and that would hence invalidate the pattern that we're seeing play out right there. So until we get above the 50-week and close above it on the weekly candle, I'm predicting the 200-week SMA. Now, I'm not trading anything right now. I'm not entering shorts or anything like that. I think that's a bit irrational, right? But I'm just sitting on the sidelines waiting to see what happens. Wait to see what happens in the next 4 days, and also wait to see what happens before interest rates get risen, which is going to be on the 15th of March. Potentially, they might not get risen due to the Russia-Ukraine situation, but it's a potential scenario there. Now, you know, that said, and that whole scenario kind of predicts, now whether I'm bearish or bullish, you know, even if I'm bearish, it still kind of predicts we go to 47k, which kind of makes sense, right? Because 47k is actually where this pink uptrending line is going to be. It's actually where the bull market support band is as well, which we're currently rejecting off right now. And a lot of things are in that region as well. So Gorgian channel with the weekly chart, for example, is another thing that's in that region. But essentially, yeah, 47k is a big zone. But right now, what's interesting is that, well, even on the daily time frame, we're coming into some strong resistance, and the reason being is because we've been in this zone before. First and foremost, we have a major resistance line that I'm going to draw out here at 45.5k, which I'm going to make a thick pink line so you guys can see it quite clearly there. That is a major resistance that held as support throughout the entirety of December, and hence it's flipped for resistance now. Now, we've rejected off that previously on this double top formation, but namely there is actually a smaller resistance zone that is acting as some sort of quadruple top formation, or potentially could be acting that, and that is coming from the January high, right, in form of wick, the February high, and the February high again, and the current high right now. Now, this very well could be a quadruple top formation, which is a very, very unlikely thing. And basically what it just suggests is, it suggests the fact that, well, it's a major resistance zone that we're constantly getting rejected off. And I'm not seeing any evidence for it being anything like an ascending triangle formation. So the only logical explanation is a quadruple top if we do reject off of it, or a triple top, a triple top, depending on how vaguely you see this left hand top here. Now, this doesn't need to play out, but it is something worth talking about, and that's the reason why we're slowing down in this region now, because we're trying to fight past the regions in which we've been rejected from on 3 separate occasions in the last 2 months. And if we get rejected here, you can be sure that we're going to go downwards quite fast, because that is a 4-time rejection from the same resistance region. And you can be pretty sure we're not going to test that again until the bear market bottom, which I'm thinking is going to be around 22 to 24k, depending on where the 200-week is. So, yeah, pretty major time right now. And going into this, test of resistance, we're seeing descending green volume. Obviously, it's hard to sustain volume on the biggest green daily candle we've seen in a year. But we've seen descending green volume on the last 2 daily candles. And throughout this entire uptrend, actually, we've seen descending green volume. So this means that the upwards trend is weakening. Less and less people are willing to buy at higher prices, which is generally indicating that a trend not being able to sustain itself for much longer. It doesn't indicate an immediate reversal. It doesn't mean we need a reverse right now, but it does mean that this trend, unless something major happens, some world event puts in some buying pressure, is not going to be sustained. It is a weak trend, and that's leading into the fact a bit more that, well, why would I be bullish right now when First and foremost, we're copying a fractal directly from 2018 that suggests we get rejected at 47k. And second of all, we're seeing descending volume in this upwards trend. And on top of that, we've already seen a bullish MACD cross. It's already played out. We've got nothing to look forward to there. And we are technically seeing some sort of bearish divergence, although a very slight one. It is a bearish divergence on the daily chart as well. So not too many things suggest that this is a strong uptrend that will sustain. Yes, it is a strong uptrend for sure. We've taken back support on this, and that's 100% a good move. It's a good thing to happen. But, you know, in terms of it sustaining, there's nothing really too strong here, too compelling to suggest that will actually be the case. So that's what I'm looking at for the daily chart as well. And then if we want to flip over to a more optimistic argument, we can look at something like this fractal here, which is torn directly from the 2018 dead cat bounce region. And this fractal was played out perfectly. You guys have probably seen it before at this point. You know, a few months ago when I first brought it up, not many people were talking about it, but now it's quite popular. But this is a, you know, step-by-step fractal from 2018 that has followed through perfectly. All right, this isn't copied from this year. This is a 2018 fractal from a dead cat bounce region. And right now we're doing a head and shoulders, inverse head and shoulders pattern, just like we did in 2018 in the same region. And if we were following the 2018 price action, it would suggest we top out at 56k. I don't think we're going to go that high personally. And the reason being is because in 2018, when we topped out at what is now relative to 56k, we actually topped out at the 50-week SMA. Okay, and as I've just explained, the 50-week SMA is sitting at 47k, and in 2018 we rejected from that head down to the 200, and that's what I'm expecting now, right? I don't think it's going to go like this actually, but that's what I'm expecting now in terms of the direction. So I hope that was easy to understand. If not, go ahead and check out my live stream yesterday. I looked into it very extensively, but the point is I don't think we're going to be reaching 56k. But you know, if we do, and if we keep following this fractal day by day, step by step, that's the explanation for reaching it. And you know, if we get up to 56k and we get up to 56k on the exact day this fractal gets up to and everything looks perfectly the same, we do have to be a little bit cautious, because if it's played out that perfectly for that long, you know, you have to expect it to play out perfectly even further. But interest rates are being risen on March 15th, which is this day here, and so that's not long now. That's like what, you know, just thinking off the top of my head, I think that's 13 days away. And so, you know, it's close enough for us to wait to see what happens regardless of the price action. But ultimately, I'm looking for a weekly close above 47.2k in order to consider being bullish again. At this point, I'm not bullish. At this point, I don't really see you know, a massive amount of evidence to say this trend will sustain. There are a few bullish things though, and another bullish thing on Bitcoin is the fact that, well, the DXY has been unable to break above its ascending wedge formation at this point. There have been many rejections from the top, but it is worth saying that when the Federal Reserve do raise interest rates, if they do raise interest rates, the DXY should be pumping out of this. And this is reverse correlated to Bitcoin. So if this goes up, Bitcoin goes down. If this goes down, Bitcoin goes up. All right, so I'm hoping, for the sake of the bullish argument, that this breaks down, as would be expected from a ascending wedge formation. But TA is not the most important thing when it comes to macro charts like this, and I completely understand the fact that, you know, it could very well break up. And in fact, it's probably the likely scenario. And so for that reason as well, I'm not jumping the gun on Bitcoin. I'm waiting. Wait. Don't be overly bullish. Don't buy into resistance. We've gone up, you know, what, 7 or 8k in a matter of 24 hours, and people are willing to buy right now. It's just a bit illogical. We have to expect to wait for actual resistance to be taken back, right? I'm not changing my tune on Bitcoin. You know, me saying, when I see the market going up a little bit, I'm not changing my tune at all, right? I've stuck by my invalidation points, you know, for months now, right? Originally at the very top here, I said 61k, came down a little bit further, then I said 53k, and recently I've said 47 to 48k. So I've been sticking by these for months. I'm not changing it just because Bitcoin's jumping. This is what I've said for a long time, and so I'm going to stick by that. Let's see what happens. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next video.